Welcome to the Missouri Valley Conference Mobilizing Voices for Change. I'm Kelly Burke, and joining me today is the Associate Head Coach for Valpo Men's Basketball, Luke Gore, and he's here to talk about voting and so much more that's going on. Coach, I have November 25th circled on my calendar now, and I'm looking forward to the official start to competition in the season. How are you doing, and what are you looking forward to?
Same as you. Really looking forward to just being with our guys and getting to be practicing with them and hanging out with them. And it's different than it has been in the past. But, the reason I think most people get into coaching, and I know you coach with broadcasting, is to really have a positive impact on others. You want to win games, but like the reason I coach is really to have that positive impact, and being around the guys, you get to do that. So really excited about the 25th. It'd be a great way to have a Thanksgiving week.
Absolutely. You are a member of the National Association of Basketball Coaches, the NABC for short, which has really gotten college athletics involved in the democratic process this past year. What is the all in to vote and the all vote no play initiatives that you all are a part of?
Well, I think it's more like it's really like a civic class. Like as Americans, we have this great opportunity to participate in voting. And I believe a lot of the ages from 18 to 24 has really the amount of, since the 60s, has went down drastically on how many vote. And Coach Eric Reveneau at Georgia Tech actually coached Coach Loddick at Stanford. And so we know him well, obviously. And then he kind of got this rolling with some other great coaches, Joe Kennedy and Mike Burns and some other guys. And so Coach Loddick was like, yeah, I'd love to be part of the task force. I'd love it. And so talked to Coach Reveneau, and he gave me some of the data. And I was like, what is it? How do I help? And he was like, just spread the word. That's it. Just spread the word, and we'll go from there. And that's what we're doing. And it's been a really cool process. And I've actually learned quite a bit about how easy the process is, and educating our guys and having other coaches educate their guys to do it.
Speaking of the process and how easy it is, what would you want people out there to know about registering to vote and getting involved in that aspect? Because there's sort of this confusion sometimes that it's actually harder than it is, and there's so many voter registration deadlines that are fast approaching. So it's really important that people register soon, and even if they think they're registered, double check to make sure they are registered.
It's really very easy, and there's a website for college students. They can register for their home state, or they can use their campus address and register where they're going to school. So if they want to go to the ballots, they can. They don't have to travel home to do it. I mean, it's available, and that's something that that's in that's made available to them. And then the biggest thing that we use is it's allinchallenge.org, and literally you start off of that. They give their personal information, and then it asks what state you're from and where you're from, and then it guides you directly to the state website to get you where you need to go. And so it's really just a point and click, and it'll get you. And then you can go back through that and check to make sure you're registered, make sure everything's okay. So it's not a hard process at all. It's not something that I need to have all the answers for all our guys, which I was drastically worried. I'm like, I'm gonna have to study this 50 playbooks to know every state and how to do it. Well, I click on a website, and literally a couple guys at the beginning, so I really knew how to do it, is they clicked on it and they started going through it. And I'm like, all right, it's pretty simple, follow the directions. And that was it. I mean, and they did it, and they were like, yeah, coach, that's pretty simple. And, they have questions about, hey, what's my school address? And if that's the toughest question we got to answer, then, they all should be registered to vote. And not just athletes. And I think athletes are, the front porch of a lot of universities. If they're out there doing it, hopefully that can encourage, other students and students that are around to also register to vote and just, get part of this process, democratic process.
Why did you, and the NABC and your fellow coaches, why did you decide that voting was sort of the area that you really wanted to focus in on right now, just given everything that's going on in this country?
I think different events brings things to the forefront when it should always be at the forefront. It's a right of an American citizen to vote. It has been for a long time. It hasn't been for all of us as long. I mean, my people like me have been able to vote longer than you, Kelly.
Yeah.
And it's just the reality of society, not just in the U.S., everywhere in the world. But everyone in the U.S. has this great privilege to get to vote. But do you actually realize that? And I think a lot of 18 to 24-year-olds don't realize that, or they think it's really hard, or they don't know how to find the information on who to vote for. All they can do is look at Twitter and see what a celebrity says, or there's more to it, and it's easier than a lot of all of us understand. It's easy. I mean, for you and me, it's easier to find out information about candidates and make the decisions right for you. And that's the beauty of the process. And so with everything going on, once again, Coach Reveno, I got to give him a lot of credit. And it's something in my mind that I was like, well, I don't understand why all our guys don't vote. It's pretty easy. And he brought it up and got it rolling with the other coaches, and it got to the NABC, and they supported it. And I think everybody's taking the day off to vote. And it's not like it doesn't take a day off to vote, but that's not why you're taking the day off. It's to recognize that this is an important day to have your voice heard, and let's recognize that day and let's go vote. And so I can't give credit for me doing this. Coach Reveno was out there. He got it rolling with a lot of other great coaches. And what can he do to influence the guys that we deal with every day? And voting was what he thought, and I think a lot of us thought it. And it caught on like fire, I believe. And we're in a great situation where a lot more individuals have been educated on the voting process.
We had a round table, the last round table we had for this Mobilizing Voices for Change. One of your fellow colleagues in the Valley, Kareem Richardson from Indiana State, was talking about sort of this exact area, the voting. And he said, I'm embarrassed to admit, but I've only voted twice in my life. And he's part of the NABC and some of the committees you're on there as well, and helping getting his guys registered to vote. One thing that he mentioned that I think is a common problem is that sometimes, at least in the past, people feel like, well, my vote, it doesn't matter. And I think that what we're seeing now is people are realizing that one vote, it does matter. And that's how you start to create change.
Without a doubt. And I think other people were like, it was part of the intimidation to not have the mind of your own. Well, it's the beauty of the process is, your one vote matters. It's and if enough of your peers or people like-minded with you research it and vote, then your voices do drastically matter. And I think that's society and that's life. Everything you do does matter. So go out and do your part, and change will happen. And, and sometimes it won't happen like you want, but that's life too. Have respect for the process and let's get after it.
How have you helped to get the Missouri Valley Conference involved in this initiative as a whole?
It wasn't really hard, to be honest. Sent an email to Mike and Greg and Commissioner Doug and say, hey, there's this initiative. Let's get the Valley going. And before they respond to me, there's an email out to all the coaches and let's sign up. We need to do this. And so that was very easy to do. And I thought that was the easiest way to reach all the coaches is go to the head of the food chain, I guess you could say, in the Valley, and let's get after it. And then I can't take credit. Javon Mayman down at you're down with the Salukis quite a bit. Javon's been great too. He's been reaching out. Great member of the task force also. So it's not just me helping. It's a joint effort. It's not about winning basketball games. It's about educating 18 and 24-year-olds on the process and being great American citizens.
A couple months ago, you tweeted a picture of you and your son Bart. Mm-hmm. And you tweeted it with a caption. You said, color of our skin does not matter. Same family, house, vacation, church, and community. My dream is that he will be respected, loved, and listened to the same by all. Although it cannot be just my dream or his dream, it has to be everyone's reality. How do we start to make that a reality for Bart and for the children of his generation that are coming up?
To me, it's a very simple word. It's just respect. And it's not agreeing. It's just respect everyone for their views. And and that's what I teach them, is like, things aren't going to be always roses for you, buddy. It's not going to be easy, and that's good. That teaches you that instead of obstacles knocking you down, the opportunities to get better, but then do it with respect. And I think that's a word that a lot of all over the spectrum is, we've lost some of the respect for others. In right now, I don't think, we just need to show a lot of respect, and every day that's a big thing, is like, be respectful and be honest. And if you do that, I think you're going to have a nice, unbelievable, fun life. And that's the words that I talk to Bart all out. And he's a very rambunctious, very active, very social, in your face guy. And he's the life of every party. He's the life of every sporting event. And he's also the one that's going to get in trouble a lot. But are you going to be respectful when you mess up? Are you going to be honest about what happens? And he struggles with it, but I think that's a role that, he's luckily, he has great role models in the guys on our team, the people he's around, that are there to teach him, hey, yeah, go out there and fall. It's okay to fall, but when you get up, be respectful. It's been a journey, and love it, love every second of it. And I'm glad that we're getting to talk about him right now.
What would you want people out there to understand about your two children who happen to be Black?
I think happen to be Black is the most important thing you said right there. We weren't going out we wanted to build our family. I'm teaching my son every day, and my daughter, and it's a struggle. It's not easy. And I have a wonderful wife, and we both have to tackle these in a joint front, just like every parent does. And we have to teach them, like what I just said, honesty, respect, doing the right thing, and then getting up when you fall down. I mean, the things that a coach teaches his team. We're not asking our players to whine about officials' call, because if you do, you're going to give up a layup. And so it's real simple that, we were we were parenting in a way that, do your best to do the right thing with love and respect, and it's going to come back to help you. And if everyone teaches that to everyone, I think we'd have a pretty nice society we'd be living in. So I don't know if that's right on course of what you want, Kelly, but that's kind of what we try to do.
That's super helpful. When you mentioned, Cheryl, when you and your wife were looking to start a family, you decided to pursue adoption. Why did you both feel such a strong pull towards adoption?
This would be a long podcast, so I'll keep the short version of it. But my mother, who is a Valpo grad, actually, and it has nothing to do with me coming to Valpo, just the way life worked out for us. She was a social worker, and early on in my life, I saw the power of people helping others. And in my mind, I was like, it was just ingrained. And I grew up in a great household. And we didn't have a lot of wants, but we had everything we needed, and taking care of others. And so in my mind all along, I thought that would be something that I would want to do. Met my wife, Cheryl. She has an unbelievable heart, bigger than mine. And she felt the same. And then, and I don't know if we went, I took some missions trips to Africa, to Egypt, to West Africa, and got to see all these kids in countries that pretty tough. And it was like, you know what? Everybody needs a family. And so we're gonna raise our family, and we're gonna be open to all possibilities. to starting our family. Me and Cheryl had some medical issues that made it tough. But what was the beauty of it is it grew us so much. We became so much stronger as a couple. And it was, looking back, I wouldn't have changed any of it. And a lot of people always come up to say, "Oh, you're such a blessing to your kids." And that's not what we're trying to do. That's not how we raise. We wanted to have a family, and we wanted to reach out and start a family. And when they asked, "Do you have any preferences?" And our answer was no. We want to be parents. And we've been blessed with Bartholomew and Christine. I mean, and so that's how we started our family. And luckily, we both, my mom had a big influence on this. My experiences had a big influence on this. And Cheryl's unbelievable faith in just doing the right thing and being there and loving. And so we've been very fortunate to grow our family and have two amazing kids.
How has having two Black children shaped your worldview, especially given the current climate that's going on in this country right now with racial and social issues?
It's hard. And there's a lot of ways that it's just hard to see things that are going on in all different areas. And to see the joy that I see when I come home. And in COVID, when I come home, I was there all the time. So every moment that I left my home office, the joy I see, and it's not because my two kids were Black. It's because they're kids. They're realistic. They have joy, and they just to see the hurt that you see on the news and stuff. How do we educate them? How do we educate them on what to do? And a lot of talks with Cheryl to figure out, what do we do? Like, they're at a young age. How do we, and let's educate them about, which we have their whole life, about what the future can look like for them and how they should handle people that they're in contact with and how they should control their self. And if we all taught that to everyone, once again, everyone would be better. And that was the talks that we had. And it's heartbreaking to see the things that are going on. And once again, I'll go back to the word respect. I just think that everyone should respect everyone. And, it's amazing. But my kids, they're fortunate. I mean, they're a lot more fortunate than other kids. They are around 18 to 24-year-olds that are amazing young men that are trying to do something in life, that are working hard at school and basketball, and they see them. They've come to practice and see them run lines and get in trouble and complain about a call and then have to get on the line and run just because they complained. And so they get to see this day to day, and they get to be in the office and feel the community of Valpo. And so they're very fortunate to where they're at, to be honest. And not every kid has this opportunity. Not every person does. But if they can help change ones around them and see how they view life, and all of us do the same, I think that's the talks we've had. It's been difficult to see, and people ask me, how do you teach your kids? And I'm like, I'm teaching them the same as you. They just look a little different. That's it. I mean, and they might have some obstacles, but how are you teaching your kid? Like, if we're teaching them the same, then I think we're going to be okay. But we all have to do it. And that was in that tweet, I was like, we all have to have, and people in our situation where we coach, I mean, we're going to get to have impact on individuals that didn't have that as a kid. So how do we help them have a view on respecting all, and everyone's life matters, and be with, invite people into your home that you've never invited in your home. I mean, the stats are just amazing usually you don't invite people in your home that are from a different ethnicity or race or religion. Invite everybody into your home. It'll be amazing what we do.
You were talking about joy, just coming home and seeing just the sort of unadulterated joy of your kids. One thing that struck me when I was looking through some of your pictures on Twitter is you had the slow-mo video from earlier this summer, and it was Bart and it was Christine, and they were jumping in the pool and they were doing flips or bouncing off a trampoline into the pool. And I mean, you could just scream joy on it.
I think I scare a lot of my friends when they see those things that my kids do, because trust me, they're all safe. I mean, and the most they do is scrape up their leg a little bit and that stuff. But yeah, let's have fun. Like, I mean, at home, I had this great opportunity. I'm at home. My wife does homeschool, and so we're ready for the pandemic before everybody else. And the one day we had Cheryl was going to teach them about some science, and they were going to build this catapult with some popsicle sticks. And I saw what they're doing. I was like, no. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it a little bit different. So we go out in the garage and we're out there looking. We get 2x4s and we get pieces of pipe and everything from our garage. And we build a catapult that can shoot a basketball. So let's have some fun with it. And let's crank up home activities with when Dad's at home a little bit. And Cheryl loved it because now she wasn't teaching the science lesson. I was getting to teach it. So
nice. That's awesome. You also, I noticed you and your family, you went to, it looked like a prayer vigil to end racism at one point. And how did being a part of that and attending that have an impact on all you four?
That was the day that Bartholomew really had some questions. He's like, we're praying for what? Like he just didn't understand. Like, I thought that's what we always do. And I was like, that is what we always do. But now in our society, it's a forefront, and right now, individuals that are the same color as you, Bartholomew, we gotta stand up with each other, and we gotta pray for each other, and we gotta pray for love in this country. And how amazing was it that individuals from all different races, all different religions were together in the courthouse in Valparaiso, Indiana, and we were all praying for each other. Wasn't that pretty awesome? And don't you believe that's how and he didn't really understand, because maybe we're doing a good job. Well, maybe it's just that he's an 8-year-old and he loves life. But he was like, isn't that what we always do? Like, isn't that what we're supposed to always do? And I was like, exactly, it is. But we need to do it. But it brought him to it made him have some more realizations that some of the tough conversations are having. And I had to say, you know what? I don't have all the answers, but please talk to me and I will listen. And if I can't find the right answer, or we'll find it. We'll find some other way. We'll have you talk to somebody else that might have went through the same scenarios that you went through. And once again, that's the benefit of doing what I do. There's so many great young men that he's around that are teaching him how to be a young man and how to work hard. And it's just a really awesome experience. But thank you for asking, because it was amazing to be at the center of Valparaiso, Indiana, which I think is one of the best cities and communities out there. I mean, it's amazing what the city does for kids, for adults, for everybody. And to have that moment where we had, there was multiple in Valpo. It was really awesome to see.
It's interesting because you talk about the community there, and one thing I've noticed in my years covering the Valley and specifically Valpo teams is so many coaches, not just basketball, but so many of the coaches there at Valpo have been there a long time, and that says a lot about the community. The fact that you've had so many long-time coaches that have stayed.
And once again, I really do believe Valpo as a university it's truly, and I think in athletics, a lot of times people use the word family too much. And then they use it on the outside, but then, when doors closed, it's not as much family anymore. And this is pumping up Valpo, but this is what I feel. This is why I've been here for my 19th year is, as a guy that grew up in, I was born in Chicago, but grew up in Tennessee. Family's pretty big in the South. And it's pretty welcoming, a lot. And, that's what me and my wife felt, when we got to Valpo, especially with Homer Drew and Bryce and Scott and everybody. And it's not just them, it's the whole university. So the university is a family, and then the community is absolutely amazing. And it's grown. It was a small town, and it's progressed, and it's just really nice now that our downtown's amazing, and the activities for kids, everything from, I have a friend that his kid's on the mountain bike team. Like, we have a mountain bike team. What does that mean? Like, I didn't even know that existed. So it's amazing the opportunities that are here in Valpo, and we're so close to Chicago and in Indianapolis. It's just a great location. So we do have some amazing coaches. I think we had to make some unfortunate cuts at Valpo, like everybody has. But like a guy like Mike Avery that started one Valpo, I think that's carried over to not just one Valpo, but to a lot of different areas, and his forefront and pushing forward, everything he's done for the community. It's just, and how the community embraced that. It's really awesome.
What are your hopes and your fears for Bartholomew and Christine?
Oh, that's so many of both, right? I mean, it's, and my biggest hope, for both my children is that they have joy in their life, and they get it through finding something they have. Like, I know how, see you when you do your job, you are excited to be there, because you're filling up your bucket. You don't mind that you don't want to be away from your family, but you're doing something that you love. Like, I love coming to work every day. I love traveling with the team. I cannot stand being away from my kids. I hate it. I hate being away from my wife. But I am happy at the end of the day. No matter if it's an 18-hour day, 20-hour day, no sleep, I'm pretty excited because I filled up my bucket all day. And so I have this great passion for what I do. And so first, that I want them to be able to find that. What it is, I don't know. Everybody has this hope. If you have a little athlete, my son's a pretty good little athlete. Yeah, maybe he's a professional soccer player. That's not, that'd be cool, but that's not what we're trying to do. Hopefully he finds something he's just passionate about. And at the end of the day, he's not tired. He's excited for what he does. And then he finds somebody he loves that he can do it with, and then they want to work hard at it. And then they can have, then they have kids. And so that's my ultimate hope, that both Bartholomew and Christine find a profession that they love, a person that they love, and that they attack life with love. My fear is that they get knocked down a few times and they don't know how to get back up, because they might get knocked down more than another kid, but they just got to get back up, and that they have hardships that they don't know how to let it shape them. And so every day I love it when they fail, to be honest with you. It doesn't bother me at all, because I just think that's really preparing them to have this amazing life. I don't want them to get awarded for even if they have a bad attitude. If they have a great attitude about something and they come up a little short, hey, way to keep going. But when they don't have a good attitude and they fall down, and let's let them learn to get up and keep going. And that's my fear, is that at some point in their life that they struggle getting back up, and they see these obstacles that they face, and they don't want to navigate them because they think it's too much. And I just don't think that's the way any of us should live life. But that is my fear. Different than other parents, I guess, a little bit. But it's the same. And there's always those fears about, I have a 5-year-old daughter, where does she go, and who is she around, and is she got friends around her? And and those things. I have a very strong, ambitious young man that is very rambunctious. I'll just say that he's out there. I don't want him to get, I'm struggling on the word, but misidentified of being a bad kid, like because of how outgoing and physically strong and everything he is. So those are fears that, you know, I think a lot of parents have to deal with those fears. But I do believe there's a lot of great people out here. There's a lot of great people in our society and around the world, and we're going to band together in this community of life. We're all going to get better, and we just got to keep believing that. And that's what we're trying to do with our two kids. Who knows if there's more in the future? I don't know, but it's kind of like what happens happens. But they're about all we can handle right now. So we're gonna stay. We're pretty happy where we're at, but that's also why I coach. And a lot of lessons, I come home and say, I don't ever give him the player's name, but you know, he had a bad attitude today, so he didn't get to practice. He had to run lines, or he got kicked out of practice today because he didn't come with the right attitude. And he immediately, Bartholomew wants to know which guy, and I was like, no, that's not what we're talking about here, because he's a great guy. But today he didn't have the right attitude. So it's just awesome being able to be a basketball coach and be able to teach these lessons, and everybody can. So hopes and fears, hope they find something they love, someone they love, and dominate it and just love life. And then fears, I just fear that, you know, they get knocked down too many times and they have trouble getting back up. So every day, that's what I'm trying to train them not to do. It just keep getting up no matter how tough it is.
What a great gift to have the team you have. They have these built-in role models, not just with the coaching staff, but with the players too, guys that they can look up to and say, I want to be like him when I get older. I want to have that attitude towards stuff. And you have this, you know, you have your immediate family, but you have this extended family too, this basketball family and this athletic family too, that makes your situation a little bit unique from the average person.
It does. It really, and it's not unique to me at Valpo. It's just unique to my profession and what I do. And a lot of individuals that are in these professions that deal with college age students or high school age students. And when you add sport, now you're adding individuals that are really working hard, especially when you get to the college level. They're really working hard to be successful. And they're doing it while trying their best to be academic and do their best in the classroom. And then they're asked to go do community service. And it's all great privileges that they get to do all this, but there's a lot on their plate. And they're getting real life lessons and no one's really coddling them and hugging them. They're hugging them, but not just because they need it. They're hugging them because they love them. Like, I hug my players because I love them. Like, and I just love being around them. And so my kids get to see that. And I really believe it's amazing for them to have role models like a Malik McMillan, who's a senior for us, who, you know, for a couple of years he played, but he didn't produce. And then last year he's on all improvement team. And so, you know, and that's Christine's favorite guy, like Malik. Like, it's just awesome seeing him and Malik finding her and giving her a big hug. And in the same scenario that I'm sure is at Southern Illinois, you know, and at Loyola and all the schools in the Valley and all across the country. So it's amazing the opportunity we have to be around such great young men and women.
Speaking of your players, what have conversations looked like between Valpo men's basketball coaches and your players since George Floyd's murder?
You know, it's been really difficult at first, because as a coach, you don't necessarily know what your guys need. Like, when it first came out, what do they need? You don't, and so it's daunting of a task to how do you tackle it? You know, and we have some great leadership on our team. And, you know, at the end of the day, what we realized is we got to be there to support our guys and listen. And their emotions are going to be different from each other. I mean, and it could be two guys that went to the same high school, and their emotions about that. But are we there to listen? You know, are we there not to even to influence, just to listen? And because that's a big part of, and so let's listen, let's support, let's be there. Whatever each guy needs, let's be there to support him and listen to him and love him and hug him and 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 if he needs advice, then let's give him the best advice we can. But it might be different for all, just like a lot of scenarios. But it was really tough. I'm not. It was tough to know what to do. Coach Holloway, unbelievable supporter of our guys and great guy. You know, has some great ideas to just be there to listen. We have players on our team from other countries, like a Daniel Saki from Canada, step up and say, "Coach, why don't we do this?" And you know, guys from, you know, we had an incoming freshman, Sheldon Edwards, that, you know, he hadn't even got on campus yet. Everything he's doing is through Zoom. You know, right? And he's supposed to be on campus already. He's a kid that went to prep school 4 years, so it's like he's really not been a part of anything for, you know, and he's an amazing individual, and you're gonna love him when you meet him. Is, you know, Coach, we found out, you know, he just needs somebody to listen to and hug him and know that we got his back. And I think at the end of the day, show him that we love him and support him. You know, we're gonna push them, and we're gonna push them to be the best they can, and it's really because we just love them and they're part of our family. And show up to my house. You know, and that's the hardest thing about not the hardest, but COVID really made it tough too.
Yeah.
Because you can't give them a hug. Like, my wife was in tears at nights because she's like, I want to have Malik over to give him a hug. And so that was probably one of the tougher things is, you know, we like to have all our coaches. We try to have our guys over to the house, one of our houses all the time. And when we have transfers come in, like, we've only been to our head coach's house once in 4 years and an assistant a couple times. And you guys are inviting us over to the house 2-3 times a month, you know, just to hang out, to have fun. And we couldn't do it. And so a big part of what we are is that relationship and culture, and that made it even harder. So we had to do these things through Zoom and make the most of it. And so that's how we approached it. I don't know if we did the best job at it, but we did the best we could. And we tried to listen to our guys and see we asked them about, do you want to do this or that? And we went with their opinions on what they wanted to do and how they wanted to handle it. And luckily, I think we have some great guys, and they had some great suggestions. So
from listening to your guys, what were some actions that you identified that you wanted to prioritize as a program to address some of the injustices going on in the country?
You know, it's a great question, and it really, we had quite a few of them, and they were all wondering what they could do, and they were very confused on what they could do, to be honest with you. And we're like, let's look at it. And once again, for each guy, it was different. And we were big on, we didn't want to force any of them to do something they weren't comfortable with. And so we let them, once again, we listened again, and different guys handled it different ways. Some of them went to some of the protests in Valpo, you know, some of them didn't care to. And that we'll say, that's fine. Like, what are you comfortable with? And, but we're going to do that. We preached respect, you know, be respectful. But what do you need? What are your needs? What do you want us to listen to? And so that's how we did it. And we had multiple things where we were going to try to do, you know, different things on a media platform. And we listened to our guys and, you know, what do they want? You know, and there's a few things that we did as a staff, as a program, not as a staff, as a program, that they liked, and other things that, you know, we came up with ideas if it was an offensive play that we'd have done, but the player said, "No, coach, we don't want to do that." Okay, we got you. And so, you know, and that was a lot of in-house things. You know, that's part of the family that we keep in-house on what we want to do. And but I thought our guys were really mature. really hurt at times, but really passionate about, how they going to be affected and how they're going to move forward. So
you mentioned the international players you have, and that's been sort of a tradition and a theme is every year you guys have a number of international players. And so how has their perspective and how they're seeing everything going on in the U.S. factored into some of the discussions? Because obviously there's sort of an outsider in the sense that they're not from the United States, and so they perhaps are looking at things differently.
It's a great question. It's different for all of them from where they're from. And I think the biggest thing is they all came to the U.S. for an opportunity. So first and foremost, so their destination for college was the U.S. So it's not like they look at the U.S. as this awful place that I think some people think it's portrayed as, or this is an opportunity for them. So they came here and then they have questions like, why this, why that? But the community that they're in is pretty awesome and loving, but they still confused on, so it's a little difficult. And then, we've had players from literally every continent except Antarctica, I guess, but every continent out there. And, but if it had some players, I'd go down there to find them, just to fully aware. But, it's just different conversations, and they come in and their perspective is pretty unique. We have Steve Helm on our team now, who was on our team 3 years ago and has been, but he was on the last 2 years, been on a mission to Japan. Mm-hmm. And he has a very unique family, unbelievable family. And so he just gets back from Japan, and now he's put in these conversations. So he has a whole nother perspective on these things. Our head coach played 9 years professionally in Japan and a year professionally in Germany. So he's got different perspectives, and it's just, it was really cool, to be honest. And their perspective to everything, it kind of centralizes things a little bit to everybody. Like, look, there's all these perspectives, and how does it work out? But it's, and we have quite a few Canadian players. So, they're just above the border, and, they go home to Ben Crick. He has quarantined, I think, for 8 weeks already, because he had to cross the border to go home for 14 days and then came across for 14 days and then, different times to quarantine. So, his perspective on this thing is, I just want to get out of quarantine. Like, it wasn't even like, I just want to, and then our 2 Europeans were just trying to do everything possible to come to the States. And they did an amazing job. They found out loopholes, or not loopholes, just ways to get here that we couldn't find. So it was really cool. So, to be honest, they were dealing with the ways to just get back to campus. And so I think that was the biggest thing on their minds. And we were very fortunate when Emil finally got back to campus and we had our whole team back on campus. So, I think college students, and maybe this is why they don't vote much, they live in their little bubble of what they need to do, and they don't think about the bigger picture a lot, which is pretty awesome. And it's something that we're educating with the voting too.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, given once you're full into practices all the time, everything's going to seem easy compared to what all the obstacles that have been going on with your team, just, getting guys back into the country and quarantining and all that stuff. Practices, I know sometimes people dread practice, but I think everybody's going to be just looking forward to the day they can practice regularly daily.
Without a doubt. And we have Zoom calls that we had with the teams, and they're like, man, I can't wait to get back. Never going to take a day for granted. And we took notes. I wish we'd have filmed some of them. So in a couple of weeks, when they show up and you can see they're dreading going to practice, show that to them and say, remember back in May where you had to sit in your basement all day? Well, I think it's a lot more fun being in the gym. So once again, we have a group of guys that, I think a lot of people saw that in how we played, that they don't get down. They're going to keep coming. And that's the makeup of our program. And it's been cool to see how, they've held each other accountable. They had team only Zoom calls to stay in touch throughout the summer. Like, we didn't even know about it for about a week and a half, 2-3 weeks, something like that. And we're like, wait, y'all got together on yeah, coach, we just talking. Like, all right, that's awesome. So it's been it's I think it's been an opportunity for them to grow in other ways, and it's been fun. And now we get to be around them, so we're excited.
No, it's great. Plus, you have some unfinished business from last year, just making it all the way to the Arch Madness title game, and then postseason opportunities that were likely coming for you guys obviously got brought to a halt because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of momentum to still build on from last season.
No, we are excited. We're excited. And I think there's a lot of teams in the Valley that are thinking the same thing. So I don't think we're much different than anybody else. They got to taste a little bit of how fun Arch Madness is. And, I feel bad about our seniors not getting to keep going on, but they had a great run at it. I really feel for, Daryl Brown and Nate Cannell and Koch Barr, to be honest, to go back to back to get to the tournament. And then they knew what the tournament was all about after having that great run against Michigan State. Now, I wish it was us instead of them, but at the end of the day, I wish they'd have had a chance, because I think they'd have won some games in the tournament, quite a few. So, in my mind, like, they won our league. I'd like to see them show everybody how good the Valley is, because it's a grind. I mean, we had teams beat Kentucky that was number 1 in the country, and they have a tough time in our league. So, every night is a battle, and that's the beauty of the Valley. Everybody's prepared at the end of the year to be the best teams they are, and that's why the Valley has so much postseason success. And so it's fun, and we love the challenge, and we know there's no days off once you get to Valley play. Yeah. And we're going to do our best that we're never a day off for anybody else either.
We got to send Commissioner Doug Elgin out on a high note, a multi-bid year here for his last year before he retires.
Without a doubt. And being I don't think anybody could really express how much gratitude they have for what Doug Elgin's done. I mean, and I think that's any coach, any administrator. And I know it's a big team of, Mike and everybody banding together to do this, but what Doug's done for the Valley, and what the Valley's done with Arch Madness and built it the way it has, and how much they work every aspect to make us be the best teams we can be at the end of the year. And that's why the success has happened. So I think it's a great idea. I know the Valley would deserve multiple bids. And I know if we get multiple bids, we'll have multiple teams winning the tournament. And I don't know if anybody's listening to me, but I guarantee if we get 2-3 teams in the tournament, we're going to win some games, and quite a few. And so that's what the Valley does. We prepare winners in basketball, life, and I love being a part of it.
Luke, this was fun. Thank you so much. Anything, you want to say in closing?
I just love that you're helping with this, Kelly, and it gave me an opportunity to research you a little bit and all the things that you're doing in your life. I'd recommend a lot of people to go to Kelly Burke TV and just check out your website, because it's pretty inspirational. All you've got to do in your 15 years, I think it is, and so the professionalism that you've had and the help you've had with me is, we're going to touch some sensitive subjects, and you made it where, like, I'm going to be prepared for it. And so I just thank you for that. And really excited to get playing basketball games. Love practice as much as games. So excited for the year. And, I live a dream all the time. I have an amazing family. My wife's the biggest supporter I got, and she drives the ship so I can come to work. And we have amazing kids. And so anytime I get to talk about them, I'm pretty fired up. So I appreciate you doing this, and the Valley, I feel honored that I can be on this call and be part of Voices of Change. And so it's pretty amazing. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for the kind words, and thank you for all the things you're doing with the NABC, and just, get all the voting stuff to make people aware and get them registered. You're really doing a ton, not only within your own immediate family and your basketball family, but just this whole league, in bringing awareness to some of these important issues. So,
hey, Kelly, make sure Javon gets some credit too. All right, Javon Mayman's doing a lot too. So it's not a one-man show here. Javon's out there getting guys signed up, and and all the coaches. There's a ton of coaches out there on the task force. There's a ton of coaches that have pledged their teams to sign up, and it's everybody working together and teaching college age students on what it is to vote. And hopefully we have an impact that will last for generations.
Yeah, looking forward to November 3rd, and even looking more forward to November 25th and to getting to cover and call some of your guys' games this year.